Every year we see about 100 families for Santa photos at our indoor playground. So this is our step-by-step guide on how to run a successful Santa photo session at your next event or your business. All right, let's talk about the planning stages first. How far in advance should you plan your Santa photos? Believe it or not, you're gonna have to plan at least 6 months in advance. So around June or July is when you're gonna wanna lock in your dates, because that's when all the good Santas are actually booking up their dates. All the really good professional Santas are gonna book up really fast, so you wanna make sure that you get them locked in your calendar in those summer months. How much does Santa cost? Now, this is where people are super surprised. Santa could be anywhere between $150 an hour to like $450 an hour. So just know that going in. If you want a really good Santa that books a lot, that's very professional, that has a really beautiful suit, and also one that has a real beard. From experience, the Santas that cost a little bit more actually do a lot of other things besides just be a photo prop. They actually have little tricks to help the kids feel a little bit more comfortable. They have little sayings and little stories that actually really make the experience better than just a photo session. I do prefer having a Santa that has done it many, many years before and probably charges a little bit more, but it really gives the illusion of magic when they're in the studio. So on average, I would remember that you're probably going to spend about $250 an hour for a Santa. Where do you find your Santas? Ask family members and friends that you know that has used Santas before. They probably will be able to refer you to somebody who's really great. If you can't go through those avenues, then I would definitely check out Gig Salad and then enter your information in there. And then most Santas will get back to you. And then that way you have a multiple array of Santas to choose from that will travel to your location. Once you find a Santa you like, you're going to be doing this every single year. Make sure you save his information so that way you can reuse the same Santa every single year. This is also helpful for people who are returning customers because they might really like your Santa and might want to come back to shoot with the same Santa every year because they had such a great experience the year before. I would say the downside of Gig Salad is that you have to pay up front. A lot of the times you book directly with a Santa, they would take a deposit, or they might not take a deposit at all and you just pay them the day of. How many hours should you book your Santa for? We try to do at least 4 to 5 hour sessions. And every hour that he's there, we do about 10 families. So we give each family a private time with Santa, probably about 10 minutes. We put our Santa events up on a bookings website. So for us, we use Square, but you could definitely use any booking software or any point of sale system you would like. An appointment system is probably a really good way to do your Santa booking sessions. If you're a photographer, then there probably is special software. But for us, we just have them book a 1 hour time slot. We usually try to book Santa in the morning because we are dealing with mostly toddlers and that's when they're most lively. We usually book Santa from like 9:30 to 2:30. 9:30 to 10:30, we have 10 people book. From 10:30 to 11:30, we have people book. From 11:30 to 12:30, we have people book, and then from 12:30 to 1:30, we have people book. And we kind of leave a little bit extra time in the end just in case we're running behind. Usually how we run our Santa sessions is that we have people come in through the front desk and sign in. We call them in order of when they sign in to our playground. By working off this worksheet, it really helps me too because I can call the name of the people that are at the playground. And then I can also introduce them to Santa when they come in. So I could say, Santa, this is Michael. And then he gets to know the kid's name right before they even enter the room. So it makes it really personable for them. So on the worksheet, the most important parts are just getting their name, the child's name, the email address, and the time they came in. Then after all is said and done, I can verify who paid for tickets and how much they paid for each ticket, and if it's being sent correctly to the right place and stuff like that. It's kind of like a check and balance system for your ticket system as well. I think that's really great about having the sessions at our indoor playground is that the kids are playing while they wait. And it really actually makes it go a lot more smoother, I think, for the parents because it's a little bit less stressful for them. The parents can sit, the kids can play while they wait. So there's a few things that are logistically really interesting about shooting the photos in our indoor playground. We always put Santa in a separate room, but also because our indoor playground is actually a shoeless facility, we actually advertise the photo session as pajama session. So it doesn't feel really weird when kids are not wearing shoes in the photos because they're made to be like very casual pajama session photos. I would do a wide array of different types of photos. If it's siblings, I'll do the siblings by themselves. I'll do the siblings together. I'll ask the parents if they want to be involved. So we try to take as many photos as we can in that 10-minute span. I also will try to do candid photos as well. And that way I have a variety of photos to put on the site so that way they can choose their photos. How many photos do we include in a session? We usually include in the session price 1 to 2 digital images. And then any images that they like after that, then they can purchase for a separate price. Setting up for your Santa session, Kate backdrops. I just really like their backdrops because they're really big, they're velvety. The backdrops are kind of a fabric material and they don't wrinkle and they look really great on camera. There's tons of different backdrops for Christmas themselves, and we've used a ton of different varieties of their backdrops and they all look really, really great. If you want to get one that's probably like a 10 by 10, an 8 by 10 is okay, but I feel like they're a little bit too short and cropping can kind of be difficult. So definitely get one that's a 10 by 10 if you can. You want to stack the backdrop a little bit with some stuff that's in front. It gives a lot of depth of field and makes the backdrop a little bit less, fake backdrop-y looking. So we usually try to find some trees that are different lengths, so we stack them in the front and we do fake snow in the front and do some sort of faux floor as well. I think that you're going to need is a light. I prefer to use a hot light. Basically, it's just a light that stays on the whole time, just because you can see kind of where to place the light so that way it shines nicely on the person's face. And I only use one light. It's more of kind of like a fill light. So usually after the session, Santa says goodbye. We usher them out of the room. We usually have hot chocolate and cookies waiting for the child after the session. So we just say, hey, there's hot chocolate and cookies out here for you. You can go ahead and grab those on the way out. So it kind of is a nice segue for them to leave the room and say goodbye to Santa.
You're also going to need a really nice tufted chair.
I'll link some of this stuff in my Amazon storefront so that way you guys can see what I purchased for my Santa sessions to make them look super professional.
One other thing you can do to really elevate your Santa experience as well is we used to do this thing where we would send out a reminder kind of the day before. In that reminder, we will also allow people to purchase things from our retail area, and we would gift wrap the item and let the child open it in front of Santa. And since Santa is in a separate room, no other kids know that that child got something from Santa. So usually the really good Santas will bring their own bag, so we would put the gift in there and then we would allow the child to open it. And it's a really amazing experience for the kids. It is actually a really great way to kind of have people purchase those last minute things from your retail area if you have a retail area.
We send out proofs to them within 48 hours. I actually just set up one site every single year with everybody's photos from that year. Because the sessions are not super expensive, I don't actually set everybody up on a separate gallery because it's a lot of work for me. So I just do one site that says Santa photos and then I separate it by date. And usually how we do is we have them favorite their 2 photos they like, or they favorite more than 2. They usually put it in a favorites folder and I can see it and I can see their email address and who's associated with that favorites folder. Then I kind of correspond those favorites and those emails with who purchased the session. So this is kind of where it kind of gets technical and difficult if you're not keeping good records. And this is where it's helpful to have them actually sign in. The ticket has 2 photos along with it. So you know that if they choose more than 2, you're gonna send them an invoice for that. So if I see that they chose like 4 photos, I'll send an invoice for like the 2 extra that they chose. Once they choose their photos and if they don't have any extra balances, that's when I'll send them a link to download their photos. So I kind of make it a little bit easy for them, but there is a little bit more work on the back end side for me. I actually was previously a photographer, so this is the reason why I usually do all the Santa photo sessions on my own. You'll basically want to partner with another photographer, and this kind of cuts into your profit a little bit just because you have to pay the photographer plus pay Santa. So just think about how you price your photo sessions for that. How do we price our photo sessions? For this year, we priced them at $40 for the first child, and any extra child ended up being like $15. $40 up front is what actually paid for the photo session and for Santa. Extra children were really just there just to play, and they were included kind of in that 10-minute time span, so I didn't charge much extra for them. And then like I said, I only included like 1 or 2 digital files.
Quite often we do make a lot of money on the back end too by selling extra digitals and prints. That is an optional thing that if you want to try it, you can.
Personally, I just didn't do a lot of editing to the photos. My philosophy as a photographer is that you should get your photos right in camera, so that way there's a little bit less post-processing at the end of the day. So I usually just spend a little bit of time going through and just making sure everything's cropped properly. Usually most of the time things are properly exposed already, so there's not going to be a lot of light adjustment on there. And if there is, it's going to be very minimal. Once the post-processing is done, then I'll upload it to a website. Usually that happens within 48 hours. You want to under promise and over deliver. So if you think you're going to be able to do it within 48 hours, promise them 72 hours, just give yourself some time. That's how we run Santa photo sessions at our indoor playground. That's a step-by-step guide for you. If you have any further questions, make sure you post it below. Hopefully this kind of gives you a little bit more insight on how to run and book your Santa sessions and run one successfully at your location. Talk to you next time. Bye.